Hello, and welcome to Creating Canon with your hosts, AJ Hamilton and Nick Pappas.
I'm so sorry. I think we do this every week. It's Nicholas C. Pappas. It's what I kind of like. My mom makes my mom happy to hear that.
And Nicholas C. Pappas, or whatever.
And also
I don't
featuring
even care.
this week as special guest.
That's not my voice.
I know. We do have a special guest
Do
this week.
you want to introduce him?
No, you should do it.
No, you do it.
Okay.
He's your friend.
Well, he's your friend too.
He's our friend, but
Yes.
I think you've been his friend longer. Wouldn't you say that?
Yeah.
Don't talk till you're introduced. Sean Kreycik.
Hey guys, what's going on?
Okay.
Hey, buddy.
Answer this question. Don't be rude.
Yeah, I think I've been friends with him a little bit longer than I have with you, AJ.
Okay, fair enough.
But
fair
I'd say
enough.
we're friends.
I would say so.
Yeah.
I agree. I mean, we're further away,
Yeah, I mean,
You know.
physically right now.
but emotionally, maybe we're closer than ever after watching this movie.
We may be.
And this movie being, of course, the seminal classic,
Yes.
Enter the Ninja.
Enter the Ninja.
Yes. It was incredible. It's the first movie that we've done that is actually directed by Menahem Golan.
Right. Yes.
Which is a real treat.
I'm actually
My
surprised you
goodness.
guys haven't done one up to this point.
Well, we've
He's a-
we've been working on it.
We've been working on it. Well, Menahem only directed like 3 or 4 movies. Like maybe not that few, but he only directed a handful of movies for canon.
Right.
Okay.
It was really he produced like 5,000 episodes.
Episodes of what?
Jesus fucking Christ.
Yes.
Boy.
Yeah, you're doing well.
I'm leaving. Goodbye.
All right.
Nice podcasting with y'all.
Woo! It was
You've
great.
got a new co-host.
I think the word you were looking for is films.
Yes. 222 producer credits for this guy over his
Oh
lifetime.
my!
Good
Wow.
God.
I know. Sean,
That's working.
So before we hop into the Ninja,
Yes.
I think there is a fair question for you.
Okay.
What is your experience with canon films?
So I don't have a ton of history with canon films,
Okay.
but I would say probably like many people that I would say like maybe run in similar circles. I've seen quite a few.
Right.
It is kind of interesting though, when we were considering what movie to watch today, I went through the entire list of canon films and realized, oh my God, there's a ton of canon films that I did not know were canon.
So when we invited you to be on the film what is
film?
this?
In the episode?
I don't think it's called an episode. I think you're wrong there.
Oh.
No, on this episode, so you didn't have as much education about what constituted a canon film.
No, not very much at all.
So when you
Fantastic.
So if you can just throw out, what canon films do you remember off of that list had you previously seen?
Well, I've seen all the Death Wish movies.
Of course. Yep.
Those were big.
Classics.
And the movie that we're talking about today, I had seen before,
Nice.
as well as the second one in the series. I have not seen the third.
Ooh.
Of course, Bloodsport. Loved Bloodsport growing up. Still do to this day. What others?
Have you seen-
Cyborg. A lot of them with Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Nice.
I've seen, and Robotech. Saw
Robotech. All right.
yeah.
Wow.
Have you seen, well, I know we actually saw, I don't know if you remember, 10 to Midnight and Kreycik were both canon films as well.
Yes.
We saw those at a double feature at the New Beverly, which was
Ooh, nice.
kind of amazing.
Nice.
Yes.
And have you seen Masters of the Universe or the original Captain America or like Superman 4, Quest for Peace?
I've seen Superman 4. I have not. I have not seen Masters of the Universe. Feels like something I probably should have seen.
Don't have
growing
to.
up.
Don't
That's
have
okay.
to.
Yeah,
I don't
don't
know. I
have to.
loved the He-Man cartoons when I was a kid.
Sure, it
I really did.
doesn't really hold up.
It doesn't really.
Oh, well then.
They don't really connect actually either when
No.
you think about it.
No.
Okay.
And,
Flimsily.
so in your experience of canon films, what do you think? I mean, because the whole point of this podcast is AJ and I are trying to create our own canon film someday.
Right.
What, like, if you could distill what you think of when you think of the canon movies that you watched into like a nice little liqueur, how would you? It was the distill metaphor.
Yeah. No, I got it.
Yeah.
How would you describe them to us or to anyone?
Well, I would.
Because we really want to know.
We do.
Yeah.
We need to.
Oh, great! So I'm the professor at this point. Okay,
Yes, please.
So, I would say that one of the staples of canon film seems to be that they have a very low budget.
Yep.
And not that that's
Check.
necessarily a bad thing, because a lot of their movies are actually quite fun
Yeah.
and entertaining. including this one. I think that one of the staples I see with Canon films is they have a lot of very natural scenery, natural shots. They don't build a lot of sets. It seems like everything is on location at some point, which I'm sure helps with the production cost. And it seems, at least to me, that a lot of them are very action oriented. They do a lot of stunts, a lot of blood,
Yes.
a lot of punching, kicking, fighting, fun stuff.
Menahem Golan famously was talked about like violence and boobs are the things that American audiences are drawn to.
Pretty much.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Which in the 80s, the cocaine-fueled 80s, that feels
Accurate.
very accurate.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Now, sadly, in this film, we get a lot of violence, a lot of action, no boobs.
I know, which
None.
is weird for Menahem Golan. Like,
It's
you
very
would think that
restrained, I suppose.
Yeah.
Or Susan George just said, no,
not at all.
stop it, Menahem.
I did it in Dog Day Afternoon. Not again.
Let's jump in with that. Let's
Into
jump
the
into the let's
the ninja.
enter the ninja.
Let's enter the ninja, as it were.
Oh my god.
Let's start it with your famous intro.
Hot?
Yes,
All right,
please.
Okay.
What happened?
What do you mean?
What happened in this?
What happened? What
Yes,
happened to me today?
Yeah,
When I got up.
yeah.
Okay, no.
I got up. I had some toast.
So I kind of saw this as a very specific lens kind of movie.
Yeah,
Right, where this is the story
of a man named Brady.
of a man named Brady. No, this is the story that a story that we all share of like when you're done with school, what do you do with your life? After getting his BA at ninja school, Cole visits his war buddy in the Philippines, only to find his friend's property in danger of being stolen by an evil land baron. Cole must now put his ninja studies into practical world uses. Enter the ninja.
You always have a good voice, but it always changes.
It's yeah, I mean, you know, I do my best.
But I think this was fitting for this one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Subtle as this movie is.
Yeah, this I have to say,
This
like,
is bananas.
right off, yeah, this movie is insane. But right off the bat, like, I fucking loved this movie. I can't, like,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
like, I think that's all I have to say is I loved this movie. Podcast over.
Podcast
Done.
over. Check. Seen it, done it.
All right, good job, guys.
Yeah.
I mean, like, where do we even start? I guess the thing that we start with is just the opening credits.
The opening credits.
Oh yeah.
Well, maybe just take one step further back. We should contextualize that this is the first movie to really popularize the ninja craze of the 80s. Like, in the
Right.
70s, it was like the kung fu craze. And in the 80s, it was the ninja craze. And this was the first ninja movie, really. Like, we think, like, I know it sounds silly to be like, we take ninja movies for granted, but I think we do. And this is the first one. Like, this is what started it, really. Like, the popularity of it.
Yeah, absolutely. There was one other before that. It was with Chuck Norris, called The Octagon.
Right.
But I think I would agree that this one probably brought it way more into focus.
Yeah. And, you know, what's crazy about that is...
Yeah.
That one starred Chuck Norris. The Octagon starred Chuck Norris. This one starred, and of course, if you're going to make a movie about a ninja, you hire Franco Nero.
Franco Nero.
The original Django. Chuck Norris, Franco Nero.
Sure.
White dudes.
Yeah.
That's what I think of when I think of ninja. How about you, Sean?
Inspired casting.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Fuck, this movie is insane.
In the opening credits, we get to see all of the weapons, all of the ninja weapons used. Sais, bow staffs,
Yeah, but it's...
swords, blow darts.
Blow darts.
Oh man, that guy was trying to be so cool doing the blow darts.
That was one of my favorite moments in
was
film
amazing.
history. When he tried to slyly stick the dart into the blow dart gun.
Yes.
While trying to be both a badass and not look, but also
And he was
he
like,
had to like...
Not gonna make it.
You had to look.
Not gonna make it.
But what's crazy about this is, like, we should, I mean, to put this in context even further, all it is like a completely black screen with a man in the stereotypical ninja outfit in black.
Yes. Black on black. Which is
black on black.
Yep.
With the titles of, like, the characters and, like, the movie name and all that stuff. But he's not fighting anything. He's just sort of like, this is a bow staff.
Displaying
This is how it works. This is a blow dart.
Yep.
This is how it works.
Well, looking back on it, after we realize what the opening sequence is, it's essentially like an education, someone's education on ninjutsu, essentially.
Is the brilliance, though.
Kind of.
Because not only is it that characters, like, because we find out that, you know, it's part of a school. So it's not only that characters like BA final class project in ninjutsu.
You don't think he went for his master's?
No, I don't think so. We didn't see it in this movie.
Fair enough.
That's in part 2.
That's part 2. Yeah, that's Revenge of the Ninja.
Revenge of the Nerd Ninjas.
Revenge of the Nerd Ninjas. Oh, boy.
Yeah.
What's kind of brilliant about that, though, is all of those weapons are actually used in the movie.
True.
And if you've never seen any of those weapons before, as somebody who's never seen a ninja movie, because most people hadn't at this point,
sure,
that is, for the audience, like, also just a little taste of, like, hey, this thing right here, get ready to see this
in
later
action
on.
Yeah.
Which I think is kind of, like, there's something wise about that.
Yeah.
Like, I give Menahem Golan credit for, like, putting that in there in that moment, because otherwise some of those things might have just felt like, what are these weapons? What are they? What are they doing? Like, I don't get it. So to me, it was like, these are ninja weapons. Be ready.
And we were.
Very quickly.
Very quickly. Because it starts in media res, right? Like, we are in action, and there is all action, like, no dialogue for the first 10 minutes. And again, with the canon, so one of the things we've noticed so far, Sean, is that this is like the 4th or 5th canon movie where we're like, did we accidentally start it in the middle of the movie?
That's funny. I did notice you guys both say that.
Yeah, we were confused.
10 minutes into the movie.
Yeah.
Because it feels like a climactic battle, where, I mean, I'll let you guys explain this one, because my brain hurts.
Is it that they like to do the misdirection thing at the beginning to make you think that you're coming in the middle of something, and then pulling it back and going, oh, no, actually, it's not quite the thing you thought it was?
No, sometimes it's just to force you into the world. 10 to Midnight, there's this scene where he's just talking about a case that he's working on, and he's there typing out a letter, and we're like,
Charles Bronson typing is one of the best things, because he's very much like
hunting and pecking.
Where is the A key? There is the A key. Where is the space key? There is the space key. Where is the B key?
Hey, as somebody who uses the hunt and peck method, I take offense to this.
Yeah, but, like, that scene took 14 minutes, and all he wrote was a bandit. Right? Like, that's so. I mean,
so this opening scene, we usually find that they try to just immerse you immediately into the world, but in this, you don't even know what world you're in. You're like,
that's true.
I mean, especially as we're saying, this is the first time we've experienced ninjas in pop culture.
Yeah.
So, because there's a guy in a white suit, and a guy in a black suit, and a bunch of guys in red suits. So what is the power dynamic? Everybody seems to be going after the white guy.
Yeah, it looks like they're a bunch
metaphorical?
of Benihana chefs.
Yes.
Like, what do their hats mean? What is going on? I was always confused about the guy with the blue hat. I always wanted to be him or have him at my table, but I never did.
No, yeah.
And I still don't know what those hats mean, unless it's just, like, what is that caste system? What is that?
And you'll never know from this movie either, because there were no blue suits.
No, there was no blue suits.
That's true. I think they were missing a trick. The blue suits would have been perfect in the water fight, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God. So basically what happens is there's this whole scene that's like 12 minutes long where Franco Nero, who's the white ninja, more or less is killing all of these red ninjas.
Seems like it.
And there also seems to be like a black ninja who is clearly Asian. Like, and of course it's like white hat, black hat, cowboys in the Old West. Yeah. Right? Where like the guy in the white is clearly who we are supposed to be rooting for, and the guy in the black is clearly supposed to be the bad guy, even though we have no clue what's happening.
No.
And it's this like 10-minute sequence where the guy in the white just decimates all the red suit guys, almost kills the guy in the black, and he's like, I'll kill you or mercy. And the guy in the black's like, mercy.
Mercy, yeah.
And then the guy in the white runs up to this guy standing in front of this
dojo
and he like chops his head off.
Just
Very surprising.
so much doesn't make sense about this scene.
None.
None.
Nothing.
And then, Sean, what happens immediately after he cuts the guy's head off?
So immediately after he cuts the guy's head off, we see Franco Nero walking into the dojo and sitting down in front of what looks like a pillow on a pedestal.
Yep.
In a prayer position.
I thought it was cheese.
And then the black ninja who he stabbed, but mercy, he comes in and sits near the front towards the pedestal and also in a prayer position. And then a bunch of the red suit ninjas come in and they get into prayer positions surrounding Franco Nero on the sides. And then in walks the person whose head was just cut off.
With the fake head he chopped off
in his hand.
Yeah, so to be clear, it's not an Ichabod Crane Headless Horseman situation. What's happened is this old ninja master comes in holding a replica of his own head, and he sets it down, and then he pulls out this scroll that's maybe a foot long, and he's like, this contains all the ninjas' thought and everything that ninjas have learned across centuries and centuries. And now I'm going to give it to you. It's like a diploma process.
Yeah, I think you're not giving them enough credit. They have shorthand in Ninja, and it's very, very, very tiny.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, I mean, it's a foot.
It's hard to see that on film.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. You know what? You're right. I am so wrong. I am so wrong. I should have known.
You fool.
You fool.
But it also stands for his ninjutsu license.
Yep, that's an exact quote from the movie.
Keep this with you, or else you'll get pulled over. When
Hey!
performing.
Are you
was
practicing
my
ninjutsu without a license?
Show me your license. You can't stab people in public.
License.
No, I can't.
Oh wait, yes,
Ninjutsu,
Yeah,
please.
there you
And then after that, the guy in the black suit is very angry because he's like, a white guy can't be a ninja?
This dude. Which I kind of agree with.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Seems
fucking
like
Franco Nero.
Cultural appropriation at
this
best.
movie is full of cultural appropriation.
Just a bit.
Yeah.
Wait, what are you guys talking about? I didn't see it.
Oh,
at
don't
all.
worry. Don't worry about it. We'll explain it to you when you're older.
Not one bit. Not one bit. I believe that the Italian Franco Nero could definitely be a Texan. who that's an insane story.
It's just a shame that he couldn't do a Texan accent.
I feel like this is a story that must be told of
Please, go ahead.
So this movie was originally written by this guy named Mike Stone, who was supposed to be the lead role of Cole.
Yeah.
Menahem Golan is filming this movie with Mike Stone in the Philippines.
Right.
And he's not good. He is very not good.
Right.
So Menahem Golan finds out that Franco Nero just happens to be in the Philippines. He fucking fires Mike Stone, hires Franco Nero, brings Franco Nero in to be Cole the Ninja, right? But it turns out Franco Nero can't fight, so he has to keep Mike Stone on in order to go ahead and
do all the stunts.
Which is probably 50% of his screen
and
time,
wasn't
if not
he
more.
The stunt coordinator
He
as
was
well?
Also the stunt coordinator. And then on top of that, Franco Nero's Italian accent was so thick that they had to dub all of his lines with a different actor doing a Texan accent.
Which it wasn't a Texan accent.
It was not a Texan
It was
accent.
not at all.
Yeah.
No.
So what's amazing about this, when you get down to it, Franco Nero, who gets top billing, does not do any of his own fighting, any of his own stunts, or any of his own talking. No. He is basically a picture.
I mean, he had to mouth. He had to at least mouth the words.
Yes,
and that's a skill in itself, isn't it?
It's.
I think Sean and I looked at each other at one point. Everyone's ADR'd.
The entire film.
The entire film.
Every single character.
I would say 90% of the movie is ADR'd.
Yeah.
The rest of them. Everyone who is non-white is completely ADR'd by white actors. I'm assuming. It sounds like it. Whereas
Mickey Rooney doing his shtick.
It wasn't that bad.
No, I'm kidding.
But Susan George and Alex Courtney and Will Hare and Christopher George, I think were all they were their own voices, but they still still had to be ADR'd for whatever reason.
Yeah, yeah.
Makes me wonder if they even had like a sound operator on the set.
Well, maybe it's just there's a lot of bugs around. And
I'm
this is
sure
just like a buzzing. Constant.
Could be.
Well, a lot of those scenes were shot like in the middle of a jungle, like literal jungle.
This was all shot in the Philippines, in Manila.
Yep.
And even the Japanese sets
were from
Manila.
Yep.
They didn't fly to Japan. It's just over the thing.
That would take...
It's more money.
More money. I mean, this was a $1.5 million budget.
Well, I mean, at first, I actually thought that the Japan stuff had been shot, I don't know, in Burbank. There were some disappointing...
It could have been anywhere,
It
really.
really could have
I mean, it was just like a jungle and a building.
Yeah. And some berms. Like, when he was, like, jumping over certain little tiny hills, I was like, that's the back lot of somewhere. that is awful.
There is no way that is real.
No.
Shit, you guys, we're like 6 minutes into this movie.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I know. Well, let's fast forward a little bit. He gets a cable from his old friend from the Angola Civil War, we find out later. They were fighting in.
Yeah.
That's his good old buddy Frank.
I mean, like...
that's why he goes to the Philippines.
Which, didn't we figure out that the Angola Civil War was only, like, 5 years previous to this movie taking place?
And...
like, they could have picked Vietnam, which would have made a lot more sense. Because Franco Nero is conservatively, like, 45 or 50 in this movie.
Yeah.
And so is his buddy Frank. So that means these two American soldiers, like, in their mid to late 40s?
Let's say 40s, yeah.
Fighting in the Angola War. What is happening?
And I like that Frank comments, he says, "My God, it feels like it was 100 years ago."
Meanwhile,
6 years ago.
When we cut to those scenes, like, their hairlines had still receded by that point. It's not like they were added hair or anything. He still looks like a fucking fat schlub this is Frank. Franco Nero looks awesome.
Sure, of
but
course.
like
He's
the
a
guy,
superhero.
like, and look, I don't mean to like, I am a fucking fat schlub, so like I can get by saying this, but like to pretend that guy had ever been in battle in the last like decade, it is insane.
Yeah. And oh my God.
Frank being Alex Courtney, of course, we should give the actor some credit.
Yes, of course. Alex Courtney of Death House fame.
Yeah, he did not do much in his career, and I'm surprised by that. I'm very surprised by that.
And his wife is played by Susan George and Mary Ann, which I actually didn't hear that name.
Franco Nero said it like once towards the end. He was like, Mary Ann!
That's right, when he's searching for her.
Because remember I started asking about Gilligan and the skipper?
Oh God, that's right. Yes,
that's right.
That really didn't stand out to me, I suppose.
And played by Susan George, who
probably the better part of this movie.
She's great. She's great. She's the mom in, or not the mom. What the fuck am I saying? She is Dustin Hoffman's wife in Straw Dogs. She was in Mandingo. Franco Nero, of course, just to be clear too about that, like original Django. He was in John Wick 2. He was in Die Hard 2.
I loved him in John Wick 2.
Yes, he was great.
He's
in that.
great as Julius. Yeah.
He was also in. He was in Django Unchained, where Jamie Foxx is like, someone's like, Django, how do you spell that? And he starts spelling it, and the guy next to him's like, no, I know how. That's Franco Nero.
Yep. Yeah.
And
very
then,
nice.
So Franco Nero gets to Susan George's and Alex Courtney, Frank and Mary Ann's house.
Yes.
And they're just kind of like chilling out, and it's like this really cool coconut plantation with cockfights.
With cockfights immediately.
So many cockfights.
Whenever you need it. Just would you like to have us do a cockfight right now?
Throw the cock in the ring.
Done.
We're done.
Yep. We're on it.
That part was insane because Franco Nero shows up and his buddy's like, cockfight, and everyone's like, yeah, and they just as if they were waiting to do that all day.
They probably were, but also it's like he asked if he would like tea.
Yeah.
Oh, a visitor. Would you like some cockfights?
Oh, of course, of course.
Oh, yeah. Would you like to bet on them?
Yeah,
sir. We have a table over here.
And I don't know if you noticed this, but one rooster was white and one rooster was black.
Oh, I did not notice.
God.
It was.
There was some
symbolism.
depth to this.
Yeah, that was happening. When
God.
I saw that, I was like, this is either amazing and brilliant or just a dumb fucking accident.
So the big as you said in the plot, the big contention is that a big landowner guy wants to take over that area.
Played by the brilliant. Look, Christopher George is one of those actors who I fucking love. and he's never good. He's never good.
He's glaring at you.
He was in Pieces, and he was amazing. He was in City of the Living Dead, and he was amazing.
Sean, do you have an opinion?
Well, I actually thought he might have been Willem Dafoe for a moment.
Sounded like he was
Sounded
dubbed by
like it.
him.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't deny that.
And it honestly looked like a combination of Willem Dafoe and Jerry Lewis. I mean, some of those faces that he was pulling at the end there.
Those faces were really great for the podcasting form. I'm glad you made those faces for the
You're welcome.
home
You're welcome.
audience.
But no, he in the end, he is a pretty serviceable, cartoonish bad guy.
Oh, he is.
I mean, actually, Sean, what did you think about all the bad guys? I mean, there are quite a few.
They were certainly British.
I mean, not all of them.
Except for the one guy who was a
Hook?
little German.
Well, there was the Hook
Sort
was
of.
German, but Christopher George was clearly American.
I don't know about
He
that.
was trying to lose his
He
British
had-
accent.
Was that what that was?
I don't know.
I don't know. He had kind of a British swagger to him.
Foppishness, you mean?
Yeah.
I'm
something like
Christopher George. I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know
that.
what
They
his...
seemed. I don't know. They seemed like their tradition. I mean, aside from the German guy.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
seemed like their your traditional
thugs and weirdos.
Yeah, but like upper class thugs
Right.
and weirdos.
Right.
Because they didn't like to get down and dirty. They hired all the people to get down and dirty
Yes.
and watched from their high tower, literal high tower,
Yep.
I liked that set.
with the pool in the office.
What a shitty
Oh my god.
design.
Oh
What a
my
shitty
god.
design.
Can we please talk about his office for just one fucking second?
Oh my god, it's so
I
amazing.
mean, it was. Well, before we even talk about his office, we
Yes.
have to introduce one character who is a character to end all characters, and that is the guy in the Philippines who is the expatriate who knows everything that's happening, and that is Dollars, played by the incredible Will Hare.
Oh god, yes.
From Back to the Future fame, he was Pa Peabody, and if you saw Silent Night, Deadly Night, he is the grandfather who scares the shit out of the little kid in the beginning who's in a coma,
neat.
but he pretends to not be in a coma. I'm sorry, he pretends to be in a coma, but he's actually not in a coma, is what I
You're
meant.
ruining this movie for me.
That happens in the first, 3 minutes.
Okay,
Spoiler
fair enough.
alert.
It's incredible. And he plays this guy who is just insane. But anyways,
He has porn in one pocket.
and crosses
And crosses
Yep,
in
in the
crucifixes
other.
in the other.
And he's trying to sell, but to be clear, when he talks about porn, he's like, you want to buy porn? And he opens up his shirt, and it's just like a 6-year-old cut out a Playboy and tape them to his shirt.
Mm-hmm. And that actually comes in handy later on.
Yeah, that comes back around. That
does.
definitely comes back
That's
around.
actually fascinating.
Plot point.
But they're in Christopher George's character's office, and his office is just a single desk at one end of a gigantic pool where he's got what do you call it? A living
Mobile.
mobile.
Or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they're swimming and they're
Well, the women are swimming in the
Yeah,
circle,
yeah.
in the pool, and then
Synchronized swimming.
there's just a bunch of men in white suits
Sitting-
who are all accountants near the pool at their own desks. All the desks are wooden. That place smells and reeks of chlorine and humidity.
Those
You know it
desks
does.
would be ruined.
Yeah, of course they would. They would fucking the varnish.
It would just rot.
The varnish would rot off in a week. But Dollars walks in and he looks at the.
oh god, all of those
this
amazing
ADR.
yes.
Yeah, after the fact, where
Well, because what's his Franco is looking through all of the desks and shit like that.
to find something on Christopher George's character.
I guess, and
Dollars is off screen, and all you hear is "Oh, this guy's rich. Look at this office.
wonder
It's a-
what he's got.
It's a crazy office. Oh, but his paintings are terrible. But look at this office. It's crazy. I was a safecracker.
I'll bet I know where the safe is.
All of this is ADR'd. And then, Dollars comes back on screen, and Franco Nero does not respond to any of that. And he's like, look at this. Look at what we found.
I didn't care about your babbling, you old man.
The fact that Dollars called out how fucking sane that office was
Yeah.
was amazing. And that was actually one of the things that I want to throw into canon is how comedy undercuts moments in this movie. And I don't know if this is a good thing.
Yeah, no, it's not.
But I just want to revel in the whole Doctor, like the Hook fight. The whole Hook fight. And not the Hook slap fight where Franco Nero was slapping the
that
Hook,
was great.
which was amazing on its own.
In the bar, yeah.
So the German character has a hook for a hand, and his nickname is the Hook.
Real clever.
Because of course it is.
Yeah. And that's what everyone calls him, was the Hook. He's never like, no, please, my name is Dieter. He's like the Hook the entire time. I have a name. Don't call me by my disfigurement.
Maybe he enjoyed that. Maybe he thought it gave him a little bit of stature.
Stature, whatever.
Yeah.
But
we rewatched the end of the fight with the Hook 3 times.
Because somebody just say what happens, please, because I want to like.
I mean, let's
I
leave
wanna
it up
masturbate
to
to
our
this
guest.
right now.
I will describe.
Please.
So
Oh my
Franco
God.
Nero gets a hold of the hook.
Yanks
and
it off.
Yanks the hook directly off of his arm, which leaves a bloody stump, which, by the way, would never happen.
I don't think that's how it works.
He pulls off the hook and then says a line, and
He
then
says, "Hey, you forgot something."
That's right. That's exactly what he says. And he throws it back to the hook, and you hear in the background,
as it lands.
wah, 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 wah.
And it...
This is not a joke, people! Not a joke!
And it went like 3 more notes. Like, wah, 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 wah. Like, the most drawn out comedic, like,
Oh my God.
cartoonish thing I've ever seen in a movie that was not intended.
It was hard to stop laughing at that moment.
We had to
That's a
rewatch.
question.
We were on that like no joke 4 times just to keep watching.
Yeah.
That's another question I have. And I think we were all sort of asking this, is this a comedy? I mean, I know that it's supposed to be comedic, some of it, but the tone of it just doesn't bounce back from that.
No.
It drags it into absurdity when there's like murder and all this stuff, but then they jump back to Dollar distracting some guards with porn.
Yeah.
Like when that happens,
like
you're just
adult
like,
guards.
Wait, what is happening?
Like they had
yeah.
never seen breasts before. They're like, oh my God,
Well,
there are
you-
boobies in this old man's jacket.
You got to remember that they had not invented the internet as it is
That's
now.
true. That's
So
true.
all you had was an old man's inner jacket.
That's the Philippine version of The Woods. That is a wrap.
Oh my God.
This movie is incredible. There was the scene where back in Christopher George's office where the British. So first of all, also what's kind of amazing is there's this running gag where the German, the Hook, wants to keep talking to Christopher George. And every time he talks to Christopher George, the British assistant slaps the Hook on the face and he goes, "Don't talk to Mr." What was his name?
Venarius.
Venarius. That's it. I was going to say venereal.
Stupid evil name.
Yeah. Don't talk to Mr. Venarius. And Venarius would ask a question. The German would look to him and start talking and would be like, slap! Don't talk to Mr. Venarius.
He got slapped so many times, and I feel like because it was a shitty $1.5 million movie, they didn't actually not slap him.
Oh, no.
I'm
no,
pretty
I'm
sure
he was
every
actually
single time
slapped.
it was a
Yeah.
slap. Yeah.
It was, the British guy later on. So it's basically the same scene over and over again in this movie. What happens is a bunch of people try to take over the farm.
Yep.
Franco Nero stops them.
Because he's a ninja.
Because he's a ninja. And then they try to take over the farm. And then Franco Nero stops them. And then he tries to take over the farm. And that scene happens probably 4 times.
Yep.
And each time, the German's like, we need more guys. We need more guys to do it. We need more guys.
And then he's like, shut up, you're fired. And he just leaves.
Yeah. But the best part is, finally, Christopher George gets it through his head. He's like, wait, you mean there's
More
one
guy?
guy who keeps doing this? Why? And the British guy goes, this was amazing. He's a ninja. What's a ninja? He studies the art of ninjutsu. Hold on, I made some notes.
I made some notes.
He pulls out a book and then he just starts reading basically the Wikipedia page of what ninjutsu is.
Well, he reads the encyclopedia. There was this thing before Wikipedia called the encyclopedia.
Wait, what is this?
He might have. It was like a physical copy of Wikipedia.
I wonder if this mimics real life in one way or another. Oh wait, hold on. We've got a quote from Menahem Golan, who was asked about this movie. It's a long quote, so stick with me here. Menahem Golan was, when he asked about kickstarting the ninja craze, he said, "It started when Chinese karate films became popular. I looked for something new in Asian martial arts and found information about the ninja culture in an encyclopedia. The ninja were middle-class people in Japan, lawyers, government clerks, etc. It was a secret organization that helped the feudal government. It actually preceded the Chinese karate battles. They used very special methods developing their sixth sense." That almost line for line is what the British dude says in the movie.
Kind of, yeah.
But he goes on to say, that fascinated me, and I said I could write story ideas out of it. So we made Into the Ninja, an American Ninja, which is another movie of his we'll do at some point.
Mm-hmm. And he clearly used the encyclopedia to look it up.
Yeah.
And okay, so he's baffled by the fact that this is a ninja, but then he sends him to Japan. He sends the British guy to Japan. This was maddening to me. His solution to fight a ninja is not to find another ninja immediately. He goes to a talent agent in Japan and says, no, stop. I don't need your people flipping with knives and stuff like that. I need a real ninja. Then why did you go to a talent agent? What are you doing? Well, and he has, like, books of people. He's like, hey, do you want to cast Siamese twins or something like that? And conveniently, he's like, you know what? I actually do know some ninjas. Let me take you to the exact guy that had a vendetta out for our main character. This will be perfect. He'll be great for you. And then we've already met Hasegawa, but he comes back in with a vengeance.
That's the Black Ninja from the beginning. Who, I don't understand why he hates. I mean, it actually makes no sense, really, because, like, he basically gives up every single one of his ninja principles.
Yes.
Just because he hates Franco Nero.
My guess is that it was maybe something that they had intended to film but was cut due to budgetary concerns. But maybe it was like he was second best to Franco Nero's, teacher's pet.
Okay, yeah.
That's just my take on it.
I mean, his line is like, Westerners can't be ninjas. And I guess I get that, but it's not like he had ever screwed you over. Near the end, he becomes a raving lunatic, a vengeance seeker.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I know that he was hired. Do either of you know if ninjas were assassins for hire?
Well, let's go to Menahem Golan's quote.
Oh, yes, please.
The ninja were middle-class people in Japan. Lawyers, government clerks, etc.
Got it. Okay.
I don't think ninjas were assassins for hire.
But,
I think that is definitely, like, the American film take on it.
Yeah, it absolutely. And yet, he is hired by Venerius.
We all want to say Venereal.
Venereal. He was hired by George Venereal.
He was hired by Syphilis.
And he kills Frank, kidnaps the girl Marianne. He burns these people's homes and kills a lot of them, I'm assuming.
Just the poor Filipino farmers.
Yeah.
Who are, like, trying to just do their day work.
But
he's decimating
everything. And like laughing with burning branches in his hands. He's like, I'm gonna take these down. And so it doesn't seem professional. It doesn't seem revenge driven. It doesn't. And then at the end, when he's like, "Please let me die with honor," it doesn't. He's lost all of his mind.
Listen, Mr. Ninja, you are getting the worst Yelp review ever. Was not a professional. Burn down village for no reason.
It just seemed like he kind of went off.
He went off the
rocker.
deep end.
Yes.
Yeah.
Speaking of going off the deep end, when Franco Nero comes back and finds Frank's body in the pool, that scene was actually fucking badass.
The flashback?
It's not the flashback was... Oh my lord. The flashback was ridiculous because, like, a close-up of the body floating in the pool on its back with its throat cut, just, like, laying there. And Franco Nero, like, looking like he's gonna cry. And it's, like, it flashes to close-ups of that. And then it cuts to them sitting in Angola, and they're, like, listening to the radio, and they're like, "Did you hear? The war's over. What are you gonna do?" "I'm gonna go marry a girl, a nice girl.
And
what are
live
you gonna
till
do?"
I'm 100.
"I'm gonna go fight another war." And, like, that's how that scene ends. But I do have to say, though, there was something really fucking badass about, like, him staring there looking at the body in the pool.
Yeah.
I actually was like, oh, it's fucking on.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it is going to be dangerous and violent real soon.
Yeah.
Don't quite pay off the way I'd hoped.
No, because then it's daytime and he's all dressed up in his
in his white,
sparkly white.
Yep.
So you made a comment earlier, Sean, that the dry cleaning bills. My
Oh,
God,
man. Yeah.
he does not get dirty once.
No.
I don't know. I don't understand
Jumping
that.
through mud and through trees and stomping around in pools of water and just not a speck of dust on that sparkly white suit.
Because it's magic, guys.
I don't mean to be rude, but are you both dumb?
Oh,
He's
please.
a ninja. He hides from the dirt.
Oh my God.
My mind is blown. I am so sorry.
I know. I didn't mean to be rude, but
No.
I had to point it out.
We deserved that.
Yeah, I
we
think
did.
we both did.
We absolutely did.
The one other scene that I really want to hit
Yes.
before we because we're almost at we're at the end.
Yeah.
But like the one scene that I wanted to hit was when Franco Nero, who's supposed to be like best buddies with Frank, they're war buddies.
Sure.
And like there is no bond beyond war buddies, except for the fact that when Susan George, who is Frank's wife, wants to fuck Franco Nero, she walks into a room. This scene was amazing because all she did was she walks from like one end of the house,
Which was actually a kind of a cool shot.
it was actually a cool
Wasn't
shot.
it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was a long shot far away, and it showed her walking through the plaza of the house, and lands on Franco Nero.
Yeah, and we see it through the window, so it's all like from the outside. We see her standing there looking at Franco Nero. Without a word, she crawls into bed, and he looks at her, and I expect him to be like, I can't. Your husband is my best friend.
Yeah.
He just looks at her, reaches over and turns off the light. That was it.
Yep.
And the fucking happened.
I see. This is happening.
Yeah, it was. He is a stone cold killer.
Yeah.
In all respects. Fucking stone cold killer.
And then we get a little bit of odd. The storytelling is very odd that he kind of dies knowing that his best old friend Cole probably slept with his wife.
Yeah.
You know?
Like that's like Frank's last thought is like the last thing that goes through his head other than the katana is my best friend fucked my wife.
Yeah, and this steel is cold.
The steel
The
is
steel is cold.
Before we hit like the big ending of the movie, is there anything else that we need to fill in contextually, Sean or AJ?
Contextually, no. There was one other scene that I thought, just something that made me laugh. I should think made all of us laugh. It was at the end, or actually right before they have their big fight in the arena, when the Englishman goes and grabs Marianne from her, hiding where they're hiding her, and is holding her hostage with a gun to her head, and is yelling for Franco Nero to come out, and he shoots an arrow at the Englishman, and it goes straight through the hand that's holding the gun.
Yep.
And so he's looking at the arrow through his arm, and something else happened to him. Like he gets shot.
Venerius
shoots him.
Venerius shoots him.
Yes.
But like he's like the guy with the arrow through his arm is like,
I think I've been shot.
Yeah, he says, I think I've been hurt, sir.
That's right. That's what it is. Well, and Venerius actually is the one who shoots him and it's supposed to be one of those like badass things where Venerius
I'm sacrificing you for me.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
To that effect.
I'll kill him because he harmed your girl or whatever. I mean, it is.
But once again, undercut by the comedy.
Yeah.
I think I've been hurt, sir.
Boom. And then,
Sir, you shot me too. That sucks.
That was awful. And then there's the big epic fight, which was not that epic by today's standards.
Well, I think one of the reasons is because it was shot mostly in wide or semi-wide shots.
Yeah.
Where I honestly felt like if it had been closer, we would have felt more. And of course, this was an evolution of filmmaking.
Absolutely.
Going into the Bourne trilogy and stuff like that, where action is more kinetic if it's closer. Just seeing it, in that wide shot was incredibly disappointing because you see the limitations that the human body has that isn't actually trained as ninjas.
At that point, it looks like two gymnasts in pajamas.
Yes.
Flipping over each other. I mean, like,
that's exactly
not to be, because look, you could use like a fucking forklift and two cranes and can't get me to flip like that.
Yes.
So I want to like
Fair enough.
I want to
yeah.
be very clear that takes some athletic prowess for them to do that, but it's also not quite.
Well, and they had some fights with the weapons that were maybe 2 hits and then they disarmed the other person. It wasn't like watching a professional fighter. You know, it wasn't like watching a killer, you know, who had trained and trained and trained for their entire lives.
I mean,
really going at each other.
He could teach at a community college with his BA in ninja school.
Or his BS in ninja school.
That's true. I don't know why it would be a Bachelor of Arts. Oh, the Bachelor of Martial Arts is a BMA. It's a BMA.
I'm out. That's
a BMA.
I quit the show.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
Sean, enjoy him.
I'll be taking over as host from now on.
That sounds fine.
Yeah.
I know it sounds like I'm shitting on this movie, but I loved this so much. I enjoyed every second of it.
God.
I was delighted.
Yeah.
Constantly. I don't know about...
Not for necessarily the reasons I think that they intended.
Oh. What are you talking
about? I guess I'll say that for me. No,
I think you might be right.
Yeah, Sean, what did you think overall? Because how long had it been since you've seen this movie?
It's probably been about 15 years since I saw the movie.
Awesome.
And the way that I saw it originally, the context was I worked at a movie theater and had a bunch of coworkers and friends that we would gather every couple of weeks and watch old kung fu and ninja movies.
Fantastic.
And this happened to be one of them. And the entire intention that we had behind watching these movies was kind of to laugh at how
of course
ridiculous they were, but on occasion you would get that gold where it was like wow, they are going for it, they are so into this, and it's actually like really fun to watch.
Okay.
It's not, you know, it's less fun to laugh at and more fun to laugh with. Like, wow, they're going for it.
Sure, absolutely.
And that's kind of what this movie felt like to me. Was like,
you feel like this is at the higher echelon of the movies?
I feel like it. Yeah. You know, it's nowhere near as serious as something like Enter the Dragon was.
Of course.
In its day, but it definitely has that feel of like they really tried to do something different and kind of, create a movement here.
Very much so. What did you think, looking back at this in the context that it was one of the first times that we had seen this, what did you think of the special effects? Because a lot of people shit on, say, the, what are they called? Callops?
Caltrops.
Caltrops to the face, which are the Jax-looking things that spray all over the fellow's face. All of the different close-ups, like the shurikens. Is that the right... Shurikens, and all of the small.
I'm so sorry for interrupting. I just realized, is that what Ryu is yelling in Street Fighter?
Yes.
Shuriken.
Well, it's close. It's close.
My God.
It's probably. I mean, he's shooting a large bolt of kinetic energy at the person, so it's not 1-on-1.
Not
one
to get
to
nerdy
one.
here, but that's the wrong move.
I'm
so sorry.
The Shoryuken is the uppercut.
Oh, Jesus.
My brain is...
I am out of my goddamn league.
You have just been out-nerded, AJ.
Yeah, no,
and that
I have.
Was impossible, I thought. Fuck. Okay, I am so sorry for interrupting.
No.
I just had, like, one of those, like... What? Moments happen in my head.
So anyway, I think I know what you're getting at.
My point is the special effects. What did you think of the quality of that for 81, we'll say?
For 81, I actually think it was pretty good.
Yeah,
I think a lot of the shots, especially with the throwing weapons, they did it in the proper way, which was to show the character throwing the weapon and then do a quick cut over to the other character who was on the receiving end of the weapon, and the weapon's already embedded, which is like the cheap and easy way to get that effect done, and it's pretty effective.
Yeah, I don't know how better you could have edited it. I feel like there is a way that a couple more frames on one side or the other, because it was jumpy.
Yes.
Or at least like a camera movement sometimes might have helped at the other end.
Yes,
because I think a lot of times it was just a static shot on the entry wound.
Yes. In particular, a lot of the shots with the shurikens that are being thrown, and
they were just immediately.
They're just like immediately. Oh, it's a static shot of it's in the guy's chest or in the guy's head.
Right.
And the caltrops too.
I seem to remember they had more or less like ninja stars.
Okay.
in some of the older kung fu films.
Okay.
So I think Menahem Golan is treading on something that has already happened from like the Shaw Brothers.
Okay.
But
Sure.
I do have to say that the effects of this were pretty great for 81. Like
They were fine.
the blood effects were great. It didn't actually feel all that cheesy.
No, I mean,
for the most part.
Nowadays it feels cheesy, but
Yes.
it's
Yeah.
higher than we expected.
That 1.5 million did definitely. I feel like
Oh.
every penny of that we saw on the screen.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So thinking about like this film as it is, looking at it, it's definitely, again, like I said, I had a great time. AJ, what did you think of this movie, by the way?
Oh, I enjoyed this more than I thought I would. I think tonally, again, I think I'm going to get more and more desensitized to that switch and change in tone midway through the movie, the more canon films that I watch.
I'm going to say something that might be borderline controversial in this room particularly.
Okay.
And this kind of hops into like that idea of creating canon of where action and a poignant moment or dramatic moment is kind of undercut by humor.
Very much so.
I'm going to just throw out there that like that is the Marvel movie formula. Anytime
Holy
something
shit.
dramatic happens, there's a quip and there's humor that undercuts the moment.
You're right.
So like
Yeah, no, I
Yeah.
agree.
Absolutely.
It's crazy that like, and I mean, it's nowhere near as extreme as it is in these movies.
Right.
Like,
and it's not as rough around the edges as it was in these movies.
absolutely. But
Very
like
much so.
that holds. Like that
Yeah.
actually holds from like then till now in a really fascinating way. I mean, like again, it's like the Ninja movie now it's more refined.
Okay. Yeah.
But I think those jokes undercutting serious moments, I see what he's going for and I see what they're going for. And I
Yeah.
think that's actually part of the formula of basically any big tentpole movie. Again, and I don't know if Menahem Golan and the Cannon Boys created this, but like that is fascinating though, that like that a technique that they constantly use is used in film today of like what we consider like the big tentpole blockbuster films.
Well, and I also think that there is more of a consistent tone, either the comedy or the seriousness. Like I say, it's more refined, up down,
Yes.
like there is a formula to it. Like in this, yeah, there were a couple of things where there's some snarky comments at the end of it, but like the sound cue again.
Yes,
that
absolutely.
weird ass sound cue that would not be.
No.
I think you take that out, and it's almost more consistent throughout the whole movie of like, I think I've been hurt, sir, stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
Like that's more understandable of a comedic moment.
Totally. It almost feels like in that moment where he throws the arm and he's like, you forgot something. It feels like there was a test screening and nobody laughed, and Menahem Golan was like, do they not know it's a joke? How do we tell them it's a joke? How do we make sure they know it's a joke?
Exactly.
And yes, yes, Yoram, you're a genius. Put it in.
Sean, you're our official Yoram of the
Yeah.
podcast.
I'm so honored.
Sean, do you have anything that you saw that you may have recognized in other canon movies that sort of are a running theme?
I don't really know if I can point to like a running theme throughout other canon films that I've seen, but I can definitely point to a particular shot that it seems like a lot of them use.
Okay.
Which is the shot through the doorway.
Oh.
Sweeping shot through a doorway, which they used at least 3 times in this movie, if not even a little more.
Yeah.
Where the camera stays on the outside of a doorway or a window, and the action is all taking place on the other side of this open doorway or window.
That's interesting.
And it's far enough away that they can kind of pan around a little bit, and you still get the door frame in the shot, but all of the action is still taking place on the other side of the wall.
Sort of a voyeuristic look.
Yes.
Into the thing.
The voyeuristic look, actually, I feel like that's in quite a few canon films.
And that's a great thing to like hold on to when we turn around and look at like how do we make a canon movie.
Right.
That idea of voyeurism, and I think you're actually hitting on something here that feels like, and it goes back to actually what you said, Sean, earlier about like canon movies being a lot of practical sets.
Yeah.
And you're absolutely right. They were a lot of practical sets. In fact, in the movie Invasion USA, they found a neighborhood that was going to be torn down.
That's right.
For an airport runway. That they said, will you let us demolition the neighborhood and film it? and
Oh, wow.
they're just blowing up houses.
They use like a grenade launcher
to blow up houses.
Yeah, like
That's incredible.
10,
Yeah.
10 houses, I think. Something
Wow.
insane.
It's so
Yeah.
like you're absolutely spot on.
Yeah.
In like
Who knew?
in that, and it does make a lot of what canon does feel in some ways voyeuristic. Like I think the reason like that the scene between Franco Nero and Susan George where she walks in and goes to sleep with him, watching that through the mirror, not the mirror but the window, makes that feel somehow more like dirty, because I feel like we are watching it through a window. We're peeping toms at that moment.
Yeah.
And I think you're absolutely right. That is a hallmark of canon, and that is something that AJ, you and I need to take on.
Very much so.
Is that like voyeurism? And then also we should put it in the movie.
Yeah, I guess so.
Oh,
I mean,
boy.
if we find the time, or don't get any time for
Yay,
the
ho-yo.
voyeurism.
I want to say like in media
Yeah.
res, like starting the movie in media res, like directly in the middle of action, dropping us in and being like, I don't fucking care if you know where we are.
Just do it.
And we're not going to explain it for a very long time. I think that's another thing that, yet again, in another canon movie that we should keep rolling into.
Yeah, I also think that the flat one-dimensional characters are a good staple to have. No, I'm kidding. I think there's always the dollar character.
Yes,
I actually really like the dollar character because it's always sort of an insider of the world that is helping the outsider along. I mean, that's kind of a trope for a lot of movies, but they always have kind of a weird, not quite wholesome person who they're following along.
Who feels like at any point I was expecting Dollar to be like pull a gun on Franco Nero and be like, sorry, venereal disease gave me $10,000 to fight you.
Also, you stole my plantain.
Yes. Oh my god. So there's this one moment in the movie where Franco Nero is standing in front of Dollar's like market, and the day previous Dollar's offered to sell him a watch.
Right.
And Franco Nero and the character Frank, so Colin Frank, are standing in front of Dollar's store. And this was amazing. Franco Nero is like just standing there, and he like picks up a plantain off of Dollar's like plantain cart, and Dollar's like, "Oh, you're back. You want to buy the watch?" And Franco Nero's like, "No, you probably stole it, you disgusting thieving bastard who steals. I hate people who steal." As he opens a plantain, eats it, drops the fucking plantain peel, and then walks away.
And Dollar actually points it out.
Yeah.
He goes, hey, wait.
It was incredible.
That's again a point where Dollar is kind of the audience being like, hey, wait. There is something wrong with this scene.
It was amazing.
Can I make a comment?
Can I please? I do want to say though, because it's funny that you said like two-dimensional characters that have no depth, but what actually I think is fascinating about it, because yes, like these are not deep, super deep characters.
Yeah, I was being facetious.
Oh, I know you were, but like one of the things that I do enjoy about canon films, and this is one thing that I think I really enjoy about their screenplays, is you never question what the motives are. It's very clear.
Very true. Yeah.
Every single second, all the time. And there's something nice about, as a writer, to kind of keep that in mind, because there's a lot of things I see today where I'm like, wait, what is this scene about? Like,
sure.
I've lost what the scene is about. I've lost the track of it when you're watching something. And it's nice to have those moments where it's like, I could point out any scene in this movie and be like, oh, that's what the scene is about.
Yeah.
Whether or not it's ridiculous or not,
sure.
I feel like it all fits character. Does that track?
Well, funny enough, it actually built better, at least on the bad guy's side, than Rappin'. Do you remember what a mess that?
Yes.
All of those.
Oh my god, it's the same fucking story as Rappin'.
Yes, it is.
Holy shit, AJ, you just blew my fucking mind again.
It's rich people trying to take over this place for their own good and building up their own empire. Yeah, no,
that's incredible.
This is Rappin'. This is Rappin'.
This movie had to happen.
This one did too.
This one did
Absolutely.
too. Oh my god, I did not catch that. That is incredible, AJ.
But I mean, let's say that another thing that canon goes for is it does not like the man.
No,
It doesn't.
Yeah.
Funny enough, even though they kind of were, they were trying to become these rich.
But they were still outsiders. They were still Hollywood
still
outsiders.
were outsiders, so they didn't like the people holding over their money and their riches over these poor indigenous people.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think there is
That is so true.
there's definitely that underlying theme.
And
Interesting.
I don't
Yeah,
know
why
how
not?
we exactly use either of these in the movie, but I do want to highlight. I thought
Sure.
like that opening credit sequence, as crazy as it is, with the ninja weapons. There is something really fascinating and smart about, like, hey, just so you know. I mean, it's sort of like the Chekhov gun thing, right? Where it's like
Oh, very
we
true,
seal
yeah.
the weapons early, and then they're all eventually used.
Yes.
So
yeah.
that way we're not like, wait, what is that thing?
Why does he have a bamboo tube?
Yeah, like
Right?
we see the
Yeah.
bamboo tube,
Yeah.
bamboo
Tube.
tube in action beforehand.
That's what they used to
allows
call
us-
the TV.
Yeah, the bamboo tube. Oh boy, in action, so that way we can at least understand what those things are. And again, I want to highlight the scene where Franco Nero finds Frank's body. I love the way that scene was shot.
Yeah.
And I love the intensity. And again, this goes back to like almost like to just go back to the Marvel. Like there's always a scene in the Marvel movie where like just before the third act starts, something happens at the end of the second act where like one character almost looks at another character and he's like, "You ready to go fuck some people up?" Never in those words, but like
yeah.
I felt like that's what that moment was leading to. And that I thought was fucking badass.
That was.
Yeah.
Sean, any final thoughts on this wonderful, wonderful piece of cinema?
No, I mean, other than I loved it.
Fantastic.
I loved it back then. I loved it now.
Nice.
It was fun watching it with you guys.
Oh, God.
Seeing your reactions to it for the first time.
What a team we make.
Yeah. So
Should it-
Sean, I think officially we have to, because it is a trilogy, you
Yes.
have to be invited back for the entire trilogy.
Oh, I would love that.
Oh,
Okay,
that's
absolutely.
for sure.
Great. Yeah, I think that is a key. That is a key thing.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah.
We'll keep you in our Rolodex. We
right.
bought a Rolodex for
you.
this show.
How quaint.
And you're the only person in it.
Just spins
Yeah.
and spins.
Yeah. It ruined the watch completely.
You mean the watch that?
See, because you said
Dollar
Rolodex, but like Rolex. You guys, I was trying to pun real hard on that one.
Yeah, that was your worst of today.
I know.
Punt that one real hard.
Yeah, please do.
no,
Get rid of it.
I am.
Get-
Let's cut that.
Hey, let's
cut that.
yeah, it absolutely will stay in. Well, thank you guys for joining us on this episode of Creating Canon.
Next week,
Yes,
we're going
next
to talk
week.
about X-Ray.
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 I'm
a
super
horror
excited.
film. Another horror film.
Yes.
From the early years of canon.
So join us
Join
on
us
that.
on that.
Watch it first, then you can enjoy it even more. It's going to be wonderful,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Wonderful.
Excellent.
Excellent.
All right. X-ray lent. Nope, that was too far.
If you don't cut that out,
Yeah, that's gonna get
yeah, because then you better cut mine out, Dick.
done. So if you want to follow Creating Canon on any of the social media things, you can. We're at Creating Canon with 2 N's. That's Creating, C-A-N-N-O-N. And Nick, where can we follow you on the socials?
The best place to follow me would be on the Twitzer at Nicholas C. Pappas, Nicholas.
Now I get why you say it at the beginning.
Pappas. Yeah, that's sort of like a whole branding thing.
I'm so glad I talked over that
Yeah.
complete thing.
It's a whole branding thing. Branding.
You guys will figure it out. Sean, where can we follow you?
You can follow me at MovieMan20XX. Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, all the same.
Fantastic. And you can all follow me at the AJ Hamilton. That's my last name, right? The AJ Hamilton. Yeah,
I actually
that's the
thought
one.
that was because you were a huge fan of the Lin-Manuel play In the Heights.
Yeah, there's a little known prop master named Hamilton on that.
Yeah.
The AJ Hamilton, and we will see you next time on Creating Canon. And with that, we say good. What is the ending thing? Jesus Christ, I made it up.
Is it good night and good canon?
Yeah,
or good
that's
luck
the
and
one.
Good canon?
So we say to you, good night and good canon. No worries.
No way.
All right. Sounds good.
The magic of podcasting. Good night and good night.